Some interesting thoughts by former players and executives on a Tuesday edition of Red Sox Now, which is presented by FanArch. I'm Mike Antonellis. Make sure to hit that subscribe. We're close to 3,000 subscribers. We had, of course, the aftermath of Bregman. We'll talk about a little more today. A lot of comments yesterday. Tried to get to all of them that I could. I know people are angry. I get it. I was not thrilled with the decision and how it ended up because if you're new, I have been pro Bregman. I put third base at a high priority. I'm not concerned about overpaying. I don't look at where he'll be in a few years. You need a good defensive third baseman. But some interesting things that we will get into here during the show of Red Sox Now. Follow me, by the way, on social at the Radio Mike. When I was driving into my job on Monday, it was interesting. Steve Phillips and Eduardo Perez talked about dealing. This was on MLB Radio, talking about dealing with Boris. And Boris does give false deals, like I have this. And Steve Phillips talked about dealing with Boris and saying, listen, I know you don't have that. We're going 5, not 7. And they would settle on that. AJ Przinsky made some interesting points that the Red Sox just assumed that there was no other offers. And that Boris said, hey, listen, we don't think it's fair market value. You know, part of that market was set by the Red Sox because they didn't really have a ton of other suitors. Arizona was not going there. They had one, two. Same with the Alonso thing. There weren't many people involved with Bregman. But one thing that I thought about, you gave him $40 million. You were willing to give him 120 for 3 years. So you kind of set the market. And I don't believe that the Red Sox were going to be able to match to get Bregman. It doesn't feel like that now. It feels like to get Bregman, it would have had to go more than 175. That's what I kind of feel like. Harold Reynolds made a really excellent point. Him and Matt Vasgersian. The national views I like in their opinions because they have no hat in the ring. They're not fans of either. They don't care. They report it as they see it. It's what I try to do. But Harold Reynolds, really went on this thing like, I don't, there's a possibility that he just didn't want to go back there. There is this thing that fan bases do that, well, of course he wants to be here. And I fell into that trap. And maybe at the end of the day, he didn't, and it's not personal. We want it to be a specific reason. Now, his dad tweeted out a photo of little Alex in a Cubs hat. So they grew up huge Cubs fans in New Mexico. Who knows at the end of the day? But I thought those comments were interesting. And Harold Reynolds just kept bringing that up about, well, maybe because he just said that they were a perfect match for each other. What happened? And the two of them, Matt and Harold, were like, who knows what happened? And it's a very interesting situation on what really fell through on all this. And, we don't know, but ultimately we do know a few of the things which I don't agree with. The no trade that the Red Sox should have done. And the deferrals, I think Boris is being a little, they wanted more of the money up front, even though Bregman would have got it. He wants it now. So that's that. And it's disappointing. And I am disappointed about no Bregman because I was team Bregman all the way. It is interesting, though, and I'm not saying that Bregman is not sincere on this at all. But his clubhouse, his presence, his way about how he tackles his job beyond what he does has earned him a lot of money, right? And it got him to the Red Sox because they wanted someone like that. And now the Cubs kind of going through the same stuff. They also want a gentleman like Bregman. It's totally sincere. I don't think he's faking being this involved. He's very interested and involved. But that's getting him a lot of money, which is very interesting. Ken Rosenthal and Bo Bichette does not think he has a chance to come to the Red Sox, and that it's going to be all Phillies, which I totally understand. It was good stuff by Ken Rosenthal. So Rosenthal thinks that the meeting did go well with the Phillies. Um, he met with Matt Gelb. Matt Gelb of The Athletic, who covers the Phillies. A Zoom meeting on Monday. And Rosenthal, Bichette seeking a contract worth $300 million. I just, it's going to be 8 to 10 years. Rosenthal doesn't think that is likely the Sox would offer a $200 million deal for 8 years, which would be, well, that would be less than 30. I think they would do that. I hope. Um, Rosenthal suggested they could pivot to a free agent, Eugenio Suarez, which bad defense, a lot of strikeouts, and JT Realmuto, which is interesting. If they were to pivot to JT Realmuto, a catcher. So for Rosenthal to bring that up, he knows something. It just seems like a weird guy to add to the team, right? If Realmuto's here, where does he play? Unless, this falls on other moves that are going to happen, which is likely in a scenario like that there'd be other shoes to drop. But interesting stuff from Ken Rosenthal. I think people are split on Bichette. Defensively, not great, but he can hit. So, that's the other thing, that if you are a plus defender with no bat, you're not playing in the big leagues. So, also, Red Sox have some interest in their bullpen with Tommy Kahnle. This is a guy that I've seen for many years in the minor leagues, with the Tigers, with the Yankees, with the Dodgers. It's a pretty good arm. I mean, it's probably a replacement for Zach Kelly, or if they DFA Hicks. Boston remains in the market for bullpen arms. Justin Wilson, who might retire, Cionel Perez, Tim Maiza, and Danny Coulombe. Also, Sir Anthony Dominguez and Kahnle. But I like Kahnle. Kahnle's a pitcher I've seen a lot over the years. He's battle tested. He's been there. It's hard to look at previous, last year, not a good year. 2024, 2023, 22, really good, pretty good in 19. He was off last year with the Tigers. That's a pretty good arm. Veteran, they like these kind of the arms, these veteran guys too, which can help. They just, they're battle tested. You like that. All right, let's get to your comments on Monday's show. At WMH Health 2018, 5175 is a lot for a player who was 32 on opening day 2026. Yeah, I think one problem I'm having with how some of the evaluation goes with Bregman, we have to lose like the age with all these guys. Meyer is been hurt more than Bregman, and he's 22. That should concern. Like I'm not concerned about it. Bregman last year was on pace to have his best year since 19. Guys can get a little bit better older in terms of, they've seen it all. Where, in those first 3 or 4 years, you can really struggle. But Bregman last year, before he got hurt, did there look like anything? Like, did he look like an older player? So I don't know if every 32-year-old's created equal. And there's a lot of doctors out here that tell me, the second and I will answer you this. The Red Sox sent all his medicals to the Cubs. The Cubs, they have world-class doctors that are looking into this. Bregman has recovered from this twice. It's the only, he has barely been hurt in his career. Twice. I mean, not many guys at 32 have been hurt twice in their career. It's 6, 7 times. It's a position of need and priority. And I'm telling you, when you don't have someone good over there, which we went through this with Devers, I don't want to hear it, but you better figure that out, because we went through this at shortstop when Kike Hernandez played there. Look at what a disaster he was. You lose games when you don't have guys in the priority positions that are big leaguers at that position. Desjardins, 25-20. Bichette's arm is his biggest defensive weakness. He cannot play third. Well, I mean, he's not very accurate. I don't know. I would like him to be. I don't think he'll want to play third. Low Stark Deegan. Good move by the Sox. People living in the moment too much. Wait to see what happens. Wait to see what Bregman does this year. I'm sure his stats won't pop off the page and everyone will think differently when he has a mediocre season. I mean, that's just speculation. Why would you think he'd have a mediocre? I mean, I don't think that at all. And again, he impacts the game without hitting 300 or 40 home runs because he plays defense. His season in 24, he hit 260 with 26 homers and 75 RBIs. And I'm sure that would have disappointed a lot of you, but he won a Gold Glove. I mean, 262 the year before that. 250, I mean, consistent. So big loss. We'll see what happens from there. Thank you for watching Red Sox Now on a Tuesday, all presented by FanArch. Make sure you hit that subscribe. Please do that. Leave a comment. And if you want to get in the Discord, it's antonellis.michael@gmail.com. So happy Tuesday. We'll talk to you on Wednesday. And as always, go Sox.